I wrote a few comments. Did you see? Yeah, that's the I think, yeah, that beginning, I try to make your highlight it. Yeah. I think I wrote some comment that make your statement more, how to say, more. Like a spoken English. So I understand you. Yeah, you wrote. If you read loudly, I think that it's a little bit too like written English. So if you kind of spoken English more, how to say, relatable. Right? So when they read it, it's sound like a college student. So that is my first impression. So I think you can take a look to see whether it makes sense or For example, you said the research, and the second sentence or second phrase, you said this research. So that is
what you highlighted.
Yeah, originally before. So that this research is because in the first sentence when you mentioned the research, it's very general, right? And then when you said this research, it is more specific. So you say maybe observation or some kind of
Phenomena, tendency.
the idea is you want to emphasize human knowledge is based on observation or experimentation of theory, and then based on the observation they will modify their theory and so that their knowledge can be tested by experiments, right? So in this sense, here your research is more like experimentation instead of research. Think about it, hundreds and thousands of years ago. People, human beings, basically they use binocular or simple telescope or even naked eyes. They look at stars, okay? Then they found, hey, instead of the Earth surrounding the sun looks like anyway. So in fact, I still think this is relative, right? This is basically if you stand on the Earth, then the sun is surrounding the Earth, right? So, but if you look at the Earth rotate by itself like that, right? So that basic, eventually simpler model is the Earth itself rotate and then surround the sun. But the sun also surrounds the center of the Milky Way, right? So that is all depends on what's the reference point.
I'm not sure where this whole analogy is going.
Yeah. So we do not need to emphasize or giving lecture to the reader because you just want to emphasize the importance of research, right? And also you mentioned as a freshman, you said lack of experience, right? Unexperienced. Yeah, I think this is too obvious to mention this. If you don't mention this, they know this, okay? So why not to leave the precious space to write something more important, more relevant. You may say you've been in undergraduate research symposium, right? Did you see other students what they did? Yeah. Was that inspiring? Just other people did some research and then they summarized and what they did they present, right? No matter how simple it is some kind of practice. Therefore, you can relate, and a lot of their research is biology related, right? Some observation of algae or some biological system. They participate as undergraduate students, so they have some experience. And you also want to do that so that you can apply what you learned in the real world experiment research. So you want experimental research, right? Not computational research?
Most likely,
Yeah,
yes.
so experimental research is more close to the reality. The computation basically is using, in our case, using quantum mechanics to model like many atoms from a protein or some backbone of large molecule polymer, right? And because so many possibilities, therefore they want to limit their, their candidates. For example, they want to invent one drug, but there are thousands of possible designs. So they want to use the current human knowledge to limit from thousands to hundreds to dozens. Eventually focus on a few with the best possibility to succeed. Basically to select the best candidates. It's like an interview, right? So you don't want to try every candidate. You want to screen, move out those clearly not having much potential. So likewise, the computational chemistry basically is zoom in to have the best candidate. And after that, that is the experimental research. So I think you can combine theoretical modeling and experimental research. So so you don't have to purely rely on experimental research. Okay, so even the experimental research still based on the previous knowledge, previous studies. Okay? So I think basic you can start with some general, like you can say the importance of research is to test what you learned from classroom and hey, Mr. Dave, the friend of Gina, our neighbor, and he's driving 1970 something. It's a very, very old Mustang, and he made it running. So I told him my car is 20 some years old, and his car 30 some years old, still running. So that is interesting. Yeah. So why not? You mentioned. Research is important to test theories so that new frontier can be hypothesized, new theory can be hypothesized and tested. And also you mentioned the spectroscopy. I think that one you need to add something more because monochrometer and the telescope optical alignment. Hey Dave, nice to see you again. Hey, good.
At work, huh?
Yeah, have a good day. Research, you can say I'm inspired by those research groups, current projects, and I hope I could learn from these scientists in the department. In fact, there are way more active research scientists in chemistry in this department in Villanova, in other schools. So yeah, so for that Corey's made
I gotta take it. You actually? Oh wait, you can
the spark spectroscopy. That is something interesting. And lab view you mentioned monochrometer and optical alignment.
So you're saying I need to add more about that?
Yeah, I think the spectrometer for stark spectroscopy, it is much more than monochrometer.
So I should like say something about how
Which consists of some. You mentioned there are some optical components in the spectra.
So I should say how this spectroscopy works.
No. You know what? You can skip the monochrometer because that is kind of a little too detailed, too specific.
Okay.
It's like when you mention a car, you are mentioning the bolt or the wheels, okay? So when you mention the car, people already know the car, right? It consists of wheels and a steering wheel and the seats. But if you mention I drove a car, I'm impressed by those wheels. Unless it's a very specific wheel. Otherwise people will say, hey, it's always have a wheel nowadays, unless you are talking about 20 years in the future, you have a flying car, right?
So what should I talk about?
So you can say, in this statement of interest, you need to be general, such as the molecule, right? And you don't have to, you already corrected or revised from proton, electron, right? So basically that is generalized. So you need to focus on the general idea, right? So we can revise together. For example, tonight we can have half an hour again. So that's fine. I don't want to bother you too much. I know you're working hard. Every morning it's hard for you to get up, I guess.
No, it's fine.
By the way, your alarm seems went off long before you wake up.
Yeah.
Did you hear those alarms?
I have to put it on the other side of my room, so I have to like wake my muscles up to go and actually reach the alarm.
Yeah.
It's just I'm too used to reaching across my bed and just turning that thing off from my bed.
Do you feel you were too tired to get up when you hear the alarm?
It's just
If I were you, to be realistic, okay? You set a goal. As soon as you hear the alarm, you get up. Okay? So that is the goal, the purpose of your alarm. If your alarm went
if I
for
rely
20 minutes,
if I rely just on like promises to myself, then I really don't think I'll be able to discipline myself that way. I just need to like
I know you need more rest. How about you go to sleep earlier?
well, I need a reliable way to wake up that doesn't depend on how much time I spent sleeping. Because, you know, college is notoriously full of, work. And sometimes that work will necessitate that I stay up longer than I guess should be doing. So I know like you're about to emphasize that I should sleep earlier, but my point is like college makes it so that that isn't reliably possible. So like the concept of sleeping consistently early isn't reliable.
Why?
I can't, because sometimes work necessitates that I have to like stay up, otherwise this will be overdue, or I can't submit this anymore, or something like that. So it's just
How often is the due date is so cut off, hard due date you cannot beat?
well, for example, like every Tuesday I have lab, right? So the lab, whatever is required, the post-lab, the pre-lab, whatever is due before lab starts at 9. So
Can you set up, for example, if today is a due date, can you set up 1 day before? So that means you have some cushion time, not waited until the last hour.
I know.
I had some students always waited until the last minute, and they almost every time they went beyond that, because either their PDF not working or some computer Wi-Fi not working. It gave a lot of headache. I told them you have to give some cushion.
I know.
So that means you need to design some kind of insurance. For example, you need to give 5 hours cushion time. Your due date, if this is midnight, you have to make sure you can finish by 8 or something. So kind of give, that means everything you need ahead of time, a few hours, give the cushion. So that way you do not have some stressful time, okay? And also, from long run, your mental health is very important, and the mental health also depend on the sleep.
I know. Okay, I'll try to build in this cushion time, but while I'm developing that, and beyond when I develop that, I will need to, like, the one thing that has to stay constant is I wake up on time, right? Like,
Yeah, if you set 7 o'clock,
I know.
as soon as you hear it, you immediately get up.
That it's not about, like, it's not about, I can't depend on myself to do
You
that.
do hear it, right?
I know I do hear it. I can't depend on myself to immediately, like, bolt up and wake up, because depending,
Think about soldier in the boot camp.
Dad, just if I it's because
You adjust other things just to meet this goal. I know you need the step by step, gradually, okay? But I want you to have self-discipline. Otherwise,
Dad, discipline is, I can't rely on my body to, like, I can't rely on my brain to, like, you know, switch on fast enough to be like, oh, it's time, I gotta be ready. I can't rely on my brain to do that. I know it doesn't seem right to you, but it's just, if I go to sleep on time, I'll still wake up tired, believe it or not. It's just,
or earlier.
if I sleep too much, then
No,
it's
no, no,
early.
no. I don't think you sleep too much. If you cannot get up,
I know, but it's only rarely that I wake up with, like, I guess, the energy to be, like, you know, disciplined enough to, like, wake up on the first or second alarm. That's why I've set up this regime of just alarm 5 minutes, alarm 5 minutes, alarm 5 minutes, alarm 5 minutes for like 20 times. I know, it sounds bad.
No, it doesn't make
Because
sense.
It's like gradually, like the first time my arm just subconsciously
what?
goes to turn
You
it
know
off
what?
and I go
My
back to sleep.
students
Dad.
developed that habit, that bad habit, and that they want to extend due date. Every
It's not
time.
about the due date, Dad.
I don't know.
It's not about the due date. It's about the alarm, okay?
I know, same thing.
It's not the same thing, alright?
You set up the goal. You need to finish or you need to get up. The same
Alright, I know
idea.
about the goal. It's just, if I listen, right now, I can't rely on myself to meet that goal. I know I can grow to meet that goal, but right now I can't, like, just make me do it. I have to grow to it, right? And I guess the alarms are just a way of me growing to it. I guess it's hard to explain. Never mind. Just forget about it. All right.